We're not live just yet. Now we are. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Soul Food Book Club. We are so happy to be here today, and we are ready for some laughter. Our Soul Food family is Auntie Jean Loriot.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Linda Lemieux.
Hi.
Mary Lou Burdick.
Hello.
And Charlie Coons.
Hello, everyone.
And I'm Terry Angel, your host. I'm so happy to be here. We are starting a new book today to discuss and laugh with. And I know, Mary Lou, you just had yours held up there.
Yeah.
It's an Erma Bombeck, and I so love her writing. When you look like your passport photo, it's time to go home. I think there are days when I do look like my passport photo, but most days I have a smile on my face, and they won't let you do that now with your passports. So I'm so ready to hear what you all think about this book. Jean is showing hers. Oh my gosh, that means I gotta go get my passport. All right, I guess I have to do show and tell, right?
Well, maybe next week we could all bring them. Do you all have passports?
I do.
Oh, yes.
That's a good idea, Jean. I love that idea.
Charlie
I'm
went to
sure I
get
have mine in
his.
my purse.
I went to get my last.
Mine's from, I think, 2019 when I went to Ireland.
Oh, how
Yeah.
nice.
And
That's my
nowadays they
ears.
say it's good to have it in case you have trouble getting your renewal on your driver's license for traveling. You know, that it's good to have the passport anytime, even regular traveling.
Well, you know what's nice about this cover that I got? You know, it has a place for the passport, and then
Oh.
it has a place for your vaccination card.
Oh, that is nice. Where did you find that, Jean?
I think I got it on eBay. It wasn't
Oh.
very expensive.
I like it.
Yeah, and that way you have it all together, you know, like when you go on
Okay.
an airplane.
Show and tell.
Oh, yours is great. There's nothing
Your
wrong
hair
with
is
your
all.
Look like E.T.
That's cute.
Keep going home.
I look
Don't
like a
look like
convict.
corpse. Oh
Look
my
like-
gosh, how much weight have you lost since then?
Right? I must have been fat then, huh?
You look like you were 100 pounds more than you are now.
Your face is a lot thinner.
Yeah. That was what, 2015? Right. So, yeah. That was right.
In other words, Charlie, you're looking good.
Yeah. Let me see it again, Charlie.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, that was right.
When did you have
Can I
that?
see it again, Charlie?
That was right after my operation, I guess.
What year, Charlie?
2015.
Mine was 2017.
I was a few days ago, so don't even ask. But I want to see it again, Charlie. I want to see your picture again. Oh, they almost let him smile.
That
He's
was
got little
7.
dimples
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
They almost
And no
let Yeah,
glasses.
you do have dimples.
No glass.
Oh, how cute.
Why don't
Yeah.
they want?
I was a lot heavier.
Yes,
know.
you
Why do they
were.
want
Just
you to
ignore
smile?
it.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. But that is the rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't smiling at all.
They won't let you. They yell at you.
I think I tried, and they made me
Yeah, they yell at you.
smiling.
Stop
They did
smiling.
So the book has been very funny. She's
It
so
has been- Oh, wait a
She's
minute.
so funny, isn't she? She's a lot of fun.
oh my God. It's like every and some of the stories are like, oh my God,
Mhm.
how did that happen? You know.
What was your favorite story, Charlie?
It resonated the camping one, the camping trip. taking the kids and, because I had the camper for years and I can resonate with some of the stories of, backing it up and stuff like that. But, and I don't know if you got to the part where she's on the different trips in, what is it, the 21 day or 28 day in Europe. And it was so funny that in Germany, she had a different tour guide, because every country you get a different one. It's usually someone from that country. But I think it was in Germany or something. And she had Luigi. I cracked up. I'm like, oh my God, she got Terry's Luigi. So I don't know if she's got to that part or whatever. That was,
Yeah.
It was funny.
It was the kind of book, once you started, you wanted to keep reading another chapter.
You did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to set it down.
It was enjoyable. I
Yeah.
did a little Googling research on her because I got thinking how does a person come to be, naturally so clever in the way that she chooses her words and all. Would you like me to read a little bit of it? I took time to write it down because I found it fascinating that,
Before you do that, let me just tell you that my background is Papua New Guinea.
Oh, it is?
Yes, so I figured if we were starting in Papua New Guinea, I'd get a picture of Papua New Guinea. So
Okay.
it looks like
Awesome, Jean.
You want to show that now, Jean?
it's right there.
It's her background.
Just
It's
my
the back-
and behind you. Oh, your background picture. Oh, I love it. Yeah, that was one of my favorite chapters too, was the New Guinea one, because of, what they talked at, she talked about, the husband being so big and he had to go, they went to the clothing store and he had to, to get the shorts and the underwear. Story was funny. Yeah. And I love the mosquito part, where I wrote that down too. Mosquitoes asked me to dance.
Yeah.
And they were like rotary blades, like a helicopter that hover and hum like barbershop competition. It's just so creative how she comes up with those words.
Yeah.
One of them, they have to register flight plans because they're so big before they.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the things that make it so enjoyable to read, is that play on words that she's able to come up with. Yeah, I always have struggled for that myself, to be able to do that. And it's not in me, people tell me I'm very funny when they talk with me. My husband's always saying, oh my God, you're so funny, but I come out with things. But then to try to put them down in writing, I struggle with that. I think you just have to have a gift.
Excuse me.
So
You
you're
need a tape recorder.
Oh, that's a good idea, Linda, to use a tape recorder. I'd be doing it all the time. I never, it's just natural. I come out with it. I've had other people say that to me, but
I think your phone will. I'm sorry.
No.
I think your phone can do that too.
Yeah. I don't know how to do that.
I don't know, but it does.
Yeah.
Mary Lou, you were going to share with us something?
Yeah, she was born in 1927 in Ohio. Her father was a crane operator. He died before she was even 10 years old. And so she was raised by an older sister. And then she started writing in high school for the school paper and did satire. And she even interviewed Shirley Temple when she was in high school. And she had many jobs and did typing and stenography and newspaper writing. And she did PR for the YMCA. I could imagine her doing that. And then she got her degree in English and wrote for a newspaper in Dayton, Ohio. And then she married, and she was a homemaker for 10 years. And I think that's where a lot of her stories seem to stem from, she worked, and then she went back to work and worked for Oakwood Times paper, which was a weekly. And they had, then she did 2 columns for another paper, Dayton Herald. And she was, just liked to write about suburban home and was humorous. And then by 1978, she had published over 900 articles in newspapers and had 300 million readers. So that's really something, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then she wrote the book. She's written many books. I have it written on the other. I'm going to turn the page in a minute. But her book called "The Grass Is Always Greener" became a TV show. And I don't remember that. Do you remember that? The Grass Is Always Greener?
No.
As a movie. I
read the
don't
book.
remember it. Yeah. And then in 1949, 27, so she was, in her 20s. She was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer. But as a young person, she was also had the same thing that you've struggled with, Terry, is kidney disease.
Mhm.
And she never told anybody about that. In the 90s, she had a transplant and complications. And that's when she died, because she couldn't fight it. She, let's see. Oh, and her legacy was that they started in Dayton, Ohio, at the university, a writer's workshop that was 2 days and 3 nights. And they had keynote speakers. They had sessions on humorous writing, human interest writing, how to publish, market, and blogging. And 350 writers were eligible to go. And then they started this humorous.org site where I Googled that too. And on the page, it says live video for business, short stories where you can create your own and share them with family members. And another place is Email Blast, which is services for personalized templates and designing. I thought of you when I saw all this, Terry, because you have access to a lot of those things and you know how to do them. It must take a long time to self-teach, how to do those kind of things.
It just came organically, Mary Lou. It just, when Spirit wants you to do something and they give you an assignment, it just happens. It really does.
Well, you follow through with it too, and use your own time, and and you make it happen because you listen to your angels. I know.
Yes, absolutely.
I know. Yeah. So that was all really very interesting. I thought it was fascinating, that she just really lived an average life in many ways at that time. She a lot of women were pushed into the secretarial and the typing and things like that. And my courses in high school were that, and journalism. And then one of my jobs became a proofreader at a newspaper place, and so I think you are drawn. You're drawn lots of times to be who you're meant to be.
Yeah,
if you listen.
What year did she pass?
I think it's in 1996.
Wow, I didn't realize she'd been gone that long.
Yeah, I know.
Her books are so popular and they still
Yes.
sell out, as we found out.
Yes. Well, humor is always something that we're hungry for, isn't it? And I feel like it was a great book choice now because, it's just so much going on in the world. And sometimes you have to refocus and rechannel those energies so that you don't get bogged down with the painful parts of life.
It's nice to laugh at the humor in life too. The everyday things. I mean, it might be 20 years later, 30 years later, but it's still the same things are happening in families, and you can relate, and it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Going through the airport, still a hassle.
Absolutely.
But
I resonated with the camping one, like Charlie, because we took our kids camping everywhere. We never took them to Disneyland, but we took them camping. And so that resonated with me a lot.
And
Women
so
go
funny how she had to sit in the sink in order to get into the closet.
Yes.
And how the women were inside showing the camper and the men were outside shaking hands buying it before the woman could get out and say,
Run out
no,
there
no,
and
don't
say,
do
"No,
it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
There's
it-
also a thread of traveling and meeting different people, different ethnic backgrounds, different religions. And it's not a big part that she doesn't point it out, but it's all, how do you survive in different places, knowing what you know and somebody else knows more than you do. They know the language, they know where they are, they know the directions. So it's interesting. Coping skills, I guess.
There's some of the people in Papua New Guinea.
Oh, cool.
I should have made it smaller, I guess. I don't know how to do this, but she said
Oh,
they're
you
the
can
friendliest people. They're just the best. I love the story about the guy. They were going somewhere and their driver told them that that's where the plane crashed. And everybody ran to see if there were survivors, and they found 2 survivors. And she says, and they took them to the hospital. And he says, no, they ate them.
Yeah.
I think I
That was-
laughed the hardest at that just because it was so unexpected.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's her talent, is to give you the unexpected. You'll think that you're going along just normally and whoops, what was that?
She and her husband were on a vacation. They were someplace where there was a beach. So they wanted to get off by themselves. So that it looked like they went across the road and down to the beach or the rocks. And there was another couple and they didn't have any clothes on and they could care less. And they went in the water and the lady was sunbathing on a rock. And I think her husband took a picture of him. So they went back across the street to the inn or whatever. And they asked the lady there if she knew who they were. She goes, oh, yes, that's my daughter.
I didn't get to that part. Oh.
She was so proud of her.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. She
Yeah, but I
definitely knew how
like
to
the
live life.
unexpected things that pop up.
Mhm. Yeah, she definitely knew how to live life. And, I love the quotes that you can find from her books. And this one is my absolute favorite. And I know other people have said different versions of it, but I'd like to read this one from her. When I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left and could say, I used everything you gave me.
That's beautiful.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love
I
it.
can see where you would love it because you do that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. That.
Yeah, I want to fill every moment with memories and just give, whatever I have, just to give it and have that beautiful
I think
experience.
that's right, though, that I think that they're going to say, whoever does it, St. Peter, say, whoever, and what did you do with the life we gave you?
Yeah.
How did you use it? Yeah. Hopefully
they
we have
said,
an answer.
God said, I gave you this life and now what are you going to do with it? Yeah.
Exactly.
The best we can every day, right? That's all.
One
We don't
moment
have
at
to
a
be
time.
authors and we don't have to be Terry Angel, but it's nice to have you in our life to set example
Oh.
for us, Terry. Because your energy and, your response is exemplary, I feel. That's why you're, in EWN the way the way that you are, and you're a leader for us.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Paisley. I appreciate those
Who
words.
could resonate with the
welcome.
simpletons?
You're the Walter Cronkite of the spiritual world.
Yeah.
I like Walter. Walter was so, I thought Walter was so cool.
Yeah,
I did
that's
too.
what I'm saying. It's a compliment.
Thank you.
Everybody trusted him.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he was just
I don't
wrong.
know about any of you, but I've had that, and I'm not talking about Terry. I've had
Cool.
that visitor who kind of makes it a regular stop on her.
Oh, every year that was.
Yes,
I like that.
Yeah.
you know, and kind of like them, you know, it's her vacation.
And not yours.
Not
Yeah.
not yours, no. So I
Yeah.
kind of resonated with that.
That was in the Ohio chapter, and I wrote that down too, Jean. I wrote how Howard and Faye, came every year, kind of just because she was being kind, and said, "Oh, we'd love to see you again,"
Uh-huh.
and they took her up on it every single year, and the only thing that she came up with to say, this is enough, is when the gerbil got pregnant,
Exactly.
Yeah.
and then she called and said, I need you to take care of the gerbil. And oh, by the way, she's going to have 6 babies, and it took that, but then, and she's it's so creative how she said, so the Bombeck family will be closed from July, August, June, July, and August, but she made a positive come from that. It was a life experience, and she didn't harbor any of it. She just used those fun and uncomfortable experiences that she had with the two in their family, but then she wrote a family that feast at the banquet table of life was what she wanted to become with her own family. She took that, visitor coming and leaving the gerbil. I think that happens with a lot of circumstances though, don't you? Where, it starts off good and you enjoy it. And then, somebody's not on the same page as you are, on the same wavelength. That family probably didn't even realize, that they weren't welcome, anymore, and that they were maybe, it's not so much they weren't welcome, it's that they taught her, I think, that there's more for her own life,
Well, a lot
that
of
she
it-
could be doing that.
Yeah, like in my case, a lot of it was my fault to begin with, because I waited on him hand and foot. Instead of saying, okay, pitch in here, like Terry comes and she pitches in, she goes, you don't have to really take care of her if you don't want to, invite her to dinner once in a while, but she takes care of herself. But with them, I had that thing. I had to be the hostess with the mostess, and so then they get used to that. If I had been, in the beginning, if I had said, okay, let's do the dishes or let's do this, then they probably she wouldn't have come all the time.
Yeah, right.
So, it's a lot of it is my fault. But Terry's the best visitor in the world. But I had to ask Charlie, I said, he kind of got me thrust upon him, and he should tell me if he doesn't want me to come. Because, I will try to be very good and clean up and, after myself.
You
And,
don't have to worry about anything.
okay.
You're my guest.
Well, see, you got to make me work though, Charlie, because otherwise I'll come every year.
He'll put you out in the garden, Jean.
Okay.
Just
that's
as long
fine.
as she doesn't want you to babysit for the gerbil, you're good, right?
I don't have a gerbil.
I wish you were here now. I'd put you to work.
I would do it
I was
too.
working all morning.
Aw.
And then
Especially since you're working in the garden. I love
I was
that.
late. I was testing the soil. The soil's not good. I got to get the soil right before I put the.
What kind of soil are you looking for, Charlie? I know nothing about soil.
Well, if you don't get the soil, the pH, the potassium, there's 4 different tests I do. And because last year I didn't do the test and I planted all the things and it started dying. So then I took the soil and it told me what I needed to put in the soil. So now I'm going to get the soil ready before I put them in, so they don't get shocked and almost die, the plants,
You're so smart. I just stick it in the desert soil and say, go for it, guy. And after about 2 weeks, if it looks dead, I pull it out. but otherwise, most of them usually grow, at least for a little while.
No, it's the nitrogen, the pH, the potassium, and the potash.
I got to get some grub stuff because I've noticed a couple of yellow spots and I know it's grubs. So anyway, we're not talking about the book. We're talking about but
Yeah.
it was, I laughed so much when I was reading it, you know. I
Yeah.
have to be honest, I hadn't read it. I started reading the first part about New Guinea and then I got real busy. So I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I started reading it. And I was reading it till after 5. And I said, okay, should I stay up to see the morning show or should I try to get a few little bit minutes of sleep? And then I didn't wake up for the morning show, but I was enjoying it so much. I was laughing my head off. I can't believe I didn't wake up on. I wanted to go say, listen to this, listen to this.
He probably had his hearing aid out.
Well, he doesn't have one. So yes,
so
it
he
was
did.
out. No, he won't get one. I'm his hearing aid. I repeat everything everyone says.
I know.
The television, everything. And I'm starting to go hoarse because he can't hear my natural voice. So I have to speak louder. And my voice is changing because of that.
Well, we're doing some throat chakra work on the class today, Jean. You'll be happy to hear.
Okay. But her husband reminds me so much of mine, you know, except that it would be reversed in the packing. I'm the one who packs everything and he packs nothing, you know.
Yeah.
So
I can't.
otherwise. And he's very tall. So if he needs something, it's hard to find something for him, even in America.
You know, there's a great story on page 46 about the churches when they were over on the 21-day European travel.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it says, having never traveled extensively before, I was surprised at how many cathedrals we could visit in one day. The first church we toured was truly a spiritual experience. As I shuffled down the aisle and gawked toward the ceiling, I clung hungrily to every word about the church that came from the guide's lips. Then when I could absorb no more, I wrote it all down in a notebook. I was desperate to know how long it took to build it, how many bricks were used, what year it was struck by lightning, when the east wing was added, the time it took to install the organ, how many trees were cut down to make the pews, how many men died cutting the trees, how many gallons of gold leaf were used on the ceiling alone, and how many miles of scaffolding were needed to restore it. I duly recorded what heads of state were buried from there and in what city the bells were cast. I think one day I actually pushed, "Where's Mr. Babcock?" into the water fountain to get a closer look to the guide. After 40 or 50 cathedrals, I began to glaze over and became quite preoccupied. When souvenir church bulletins were passed out in the basilica somewhere, I wrapped my gum in mine. Later, when the guide asked any questions, I asked, how many cathedrals could you see in one day before you slipped into a coma? And near the end of the trip, St. Paul's began to look like St. John Lateran, and St. Maria Maggiore looked suspiciously like St. Mark's. I began noticing saints with bad skin, chipped noses, and missing fingers. I really began to worry about myself when I nudged my husband and nodded toward a statue of St. Cecilia and said, "Be honest, is that Lee Marvin's twin or what?" You know, I think it's so true when you travel like that. You know, when something's brand new, it's fascinating and you can't get enough of it. but you can overdo it too, I
Yeah,
guess.
the overdose.
Yeah.
So true and so funny.
Yeah. I went to those places, I went to all those cathedrals in the year 2000. It was in the Catholic Church. It was called the year of the Jubilee year. And it was the year of, during the Jubilee year, if you go through church, the doors of the church, you received a special blessing for yourself and your family. So the priest that was our tour guide made it a point to bring us to every single one of those cathedrals. And we went in the morning, and he celebrated mass. And it was truly fascinating to go into those great big museum-like churches. They were all built so long ago, and in the Catholic churches in America, they're all modernized. They took down all of the statues, and they replaced them, with different things, and not all of them, but a lot of them. I don't know if they did it throughout the country, but here in New England, they did that. I remember belonging to one church in a small town, and they had a beautiful stained glass window above the altar. And this one priest felt like it was a distraction to prayer. So he had it actually plastered over, they put sidewalk over it, and the people were horrified because it was their grandparents that invested their money, used their skill to build it. And here he was and had no respect for it, I think sometimes you can lose sight, over the years in life, of the value is not in just that window. It's about the families that participated in it and all, Yeah. My big thrill was quite extraordinary, I think, because they would ask every day who would like to do the readings. They do 2 readings from the Bible, and then the priest does the gospel, and nobody else but me volunteered. And after about the 3rd one, I'm like, oh, this is meant to be for me, and I really embrace it. And I go up there and I think, I bet the saints of old are rolling over in their grave to have this woman from the United States up there, because it was a time when, we were encouraged to do that. It's not just a male role anymore. The women get to do it if they want to, and I happen to like to read, and so I volunteered, and it was a unique experience for me. But I could see, I especially loved because I experienced it, reading her, start us off with the interesting part and coming to the point where, like, oh no, another church, let's use the bulletin for gum. I loved it. I thought it was just awesome. But I think that my point is that when she writes, it's relatable to all of us. Charlie related to the camping, and there's something in there, that I think everybody can relate to. You must relate to all the traveling, Terry.
All the traveling, yeah.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Because when you travel, there's so much awe. Every time you look at something just so magnificent, you can't take it all in just 1 minute. You have to just really let it absorb into you. And
I think we're meant to, right? We're meant.
Oh, yeah.
She wasn't suggesting that it wasn't beautiful. She was just saying that she came to a point that for her, it was too much. Yeah.
Well, it can't be too much for anybody if you keep, you have to pace yourself. I'm hoping Terry has learned that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise you just wear yourself out and nothing good is happening. I like that one in Canada where they went to this place because they were supposed to see this fabulous wave come in and go over this rock, and they spend all the time traveling there. And when it happened, I don't know why it happened that year or that time, but it was just a little trickle. It didn't even, nothing happened. That reminds me of some of the trips we went on where we went to something, you know, we went a long way and went out of our way to see something that someone told us was just fantastic. And then you get there and you say, huh? You know, so, you know, unfortunately, I love the splendor of God. Now, the churches is something different. I consider that part of God. But, you know, like when we went to Mount Rushmore, I was not impressed. I think I'm the only person in the world who was not impressed by Mount Rushmore, because it just not, I would rather go see a mountain or go see something, the beach or the ocean, or even a bunch of trees. It's something that God has created. To me, there's no greater artist in the world than our Father. So
That's
those
so true.
caves in Arizona, those wonderful rock formations, those, I mean, they're so glorious. So I go 100,000 miles to see something like that. So
Yeah. And even the skies are different.
the sky.
Yeah, the sunsets, the sunrises, it just looks different in different places, and the starry nights too.
And, you know, like in New Mexico, we would go to a place called the Gila Wilderness, and there were Indian dwellings there. They used to live up in the cliffs, and you can climb up there. I'm not sure I'd make it anymore, but you can climb up there and go inside the caves and where they had their houses. So wonderful. But you can also climb way high up on the mountain, and you get to the top, and the sky is like, oh my goodness, it's so beautiful and huge. And I said, I can see why they call this big sky country, you know, because and you almost feel like you could touch it. It looks like it's so close. So that's the kind of thing I like.
Well, I have a thought. Let's say hello to Kathy Hand first. She's joining us virtually.
Kathy.
And she does have the book.
Yes.
So how about next week if we all tell our own travel story?
Ooh.
We've all been somewhere, right? So
Yeah.
everybody just bring a story to tell about travel.
Okay.
Okay. Charlie, you on board with that?
I guess I'll have to figure out which one.
Well, that's the beauty of it. Or two.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Did you have anything to add before we end the show today?
We're already over? Oh my goodness. That was so much fun.
I agree with you, Jean, with the nature and God's beauty. You know, it's like the gardens, even, you know, where you know somebody has taken seed or the bulb and placed it in the ground, and they've chosen where to put it, and there's beauty in that. But I've always been one to say I love the dandelions and I love the violets, because they're all over your yard. Nobody put them there but the birds and the bees and God, you know, and those are God's flowers, and there is a great beauty to that. The simple and the awesome ones with the sunsets, like you were saying, Terry, also different. And the stars at night, you know, it depends if you're near a city or in an isolated area. It is magnificent. It's awesome, right?
It really is. And another thing is I try to get local honey wherever I go. It helps with the allergies, you know, being able to adapt to the pollen. But there's different flavors of honey in all these different places. I just bought a lavender honey. Oh my gosh, what a treat. If you've never had it, I advise it, because it's such a different flavor of honey, and it's all natural.
Do you put it in on your toast or in your tea or?
I put it in my tea, and boy, does it taste good.
Nice.
Yeah, I just got it. As a matter of fact, I got it when I was at Garden of the Gods down in Colorado Springs.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it does taste different wherever it's grown.
Wherever
They
you go.
use different pollen, you know. They
Right.
use, some of it is blueberry, some of it is blackberry, some, you know, it's all different. And I love honeys, I do. But
Yeah.
our honey, what we have here is mostly cactus and sage flowers, you know, that they.
I
that-
haven't tried that, Jean. I'm going
I'll
to have
get
to
you
try
some.
some.
I get to go down to, what's his name now? I had the student that his dad grows it here. I mean, he makes it, doesn't grow it. He has hives. And he was allergic to bees. My student was allergic to bees, and he lived practically in a beehive. So anyway, but theirs is really good, but it's different. It's different because it's a different plant, you know. So,
Yeah, I wasn't sure how the lavender was going to be when I bought it. I was just drawn to buy it, and wow, I love it. Yeah, just got a little
ours
girl.
won't be as sweet as that, I'm sure.
You never know.
Oh, well,
Florida
I've had
has
these
the-
Work magic.
It's good. It's good.
Florida has the orange blossom
Mhm.
honey.
I know. I love that one. That one's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah, I grew up with clover honey because my sister
Yeah,
and her
me too.
husband have beehives.
I'm pretty sure that's what we have in Massachusetts too.
We have clover like
That's what
everywhere.
you usually get
Yeah.
in the stores.
So that's what I grew up. I thought that's how honey was supposed to taste, you know.
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
finding out that there's some really delicious other flavors of honey.
Supposedly there's a royal jelly made from the beehives, and it's supposed to be excellent for arthritis.
Oh,
Oh, they use it in cream moisturizers, the royal jelly.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be really good for your skin. So they usually put it in creams and anti-aging stuff. And
mhm. Cool.
I
So
know,
in the
'cause I try all the anti-aging stuff. It doesn't ever work. So there you go.
I was remembering in the book, they had it must have been the 21 day through Europe, but they had the kind of a light lunch every day, and they had these rolls that were hard, and her husband was complaining. They're too hard. They must use these over and over. And she goes, oh no, they wouldn't do that. So he scratched his name and initials and date in one of the bottom of the rolls. So about 2 weeks later, he yells, aha, and he holds up the roll. He goes, I found it. This is my roll. And he found the same roll with, I don't know if it's true, but with the initials and the date.
The other fellow travelers enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's human.
That sounds like something Ron would do.
Yeah, my husband too.
It does, doesn't it?
But the aha part was funny.
Well, I'm so glad we're enjoying the book. Irma would be proud of us.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you know,
I'm
I think
sure
these
she is.
people who bring laughter into the world must be very special. You know, because
Yeah.
there's nothing like laughter to make you feel like good and happy and
Mhm.
bringing in love to your heart. So
It's very healing when
It
you think
is.
of the vibration and how high it rises with laughter.
Mhm.
And it does help us to heal a lot faster if there's something going on. Yeah, I love that. All right, anybody else have anything before we say goodbye for the day?
Will we read the next 3 chapters?
Sure.
I didn't look to see how many we have, just to keep ourselves, regulated on it. We don't want spoiler alerts.
just
Right.
tell me to what chapter, because I think I'm behind some of you.
They're not numbered, but there's 41.
Oh, 41.
Yeah.
So we could actually do 10 every time, huh? if you want.
No, they're short, so we could.
Go up to what, 10 chapters?
Okay.
Yeah, 10.
I see a chapter on tipping. Is that past where you all are, or
Oh, that's like 10, I think.
1, 2.
tipping?
Yeah, I'm just about there, actually. I
Yeah.
think I'm
Well,
finishing
let's
up
add
at
a
a,
little bit more, I guess.
Yeah, I'm still on the European getaway. I'm on
Okay.
44, I think, page 44.
Cruising the Baltic.
So
Have
I'm
any
so
of
we're
you read
going
Cruising the Baltic?
so how far do you think we should go?
How about
Just
the
to keep,
shopping?
go up to,
That's far enough?
to
From page
slide.
77. Shopping.
I bet
Slide.
we could, for next week, I bet we could read up to page 106, Spain.
Okay, 106.
That sound good? Like we have a little goal? I don't want to, make it too formal, but
Okay, okay, 106.
Well, it's pretty easy to read.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
It's good to
yeah,
read.
so easy.
Yeah. You
We
don't
can
want
go-
to stop reading.
Go to
and-
135 if you want. That'd be 20.
Okay.
135, okay.
Yeah, this is our well, that would be our second week. And then
Right.
we'll have time to talk
Fine.
about those stories and our
Yeah,
own.
we have to do our
Good.
stories.
Okay, so what page are we going through?
Up to slides 135 to Africa. Don't read Africa.
Okay.
Okay.
And mine is 144. My pages are different.
Now,
Okay.
Charlie has the hardcover.
Oh, that's true. Some of them.
Oh,
I have the
And
hardcover.
on 135 for me is slides.
Right.
Okay.
So I want you to know Suzanne just sent us a picture of Mount Rushmore. That's where she
Oh.
lives.
I knew she was at, that's what made me think of Mount Rushmore, because she'd sent a message.
Oh.
That's where
Yeah, she says she
was.
couldn't be here today because that's
And
where
I
she
looked
put
at it
off
and I
to.
said, really? I mean, it is nice. For one thing, I thought it was a lot bigger. It's kind of small.
Yeah,
Have you seen it?
yes.
I bet there's a lot of beauty around it, though.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, there's a lot of I should tell Susan, there's a lot of caves around there that are really nice.
Oh.
Crystal caves and that you can go to. They're really, and the Cave of the Winds, and
You should definitely text her and let her know, Gigi.
yeah, I'm gonna have to
If
do
she's
that.
there, I bet she'd love to see things like that.
All right, well, I see that our time is up. Let's get off of here and say goodbye to everyone. And we'll be back next week with the next, ever how many chapters of the book.
And
Slides, guys.
Okay, all right. So
Okay.
thank you all for joining us and
namaste.
Namaste,
y'all.
y'all.
we'll see you later. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.